This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd, reminding you that we and the show you are listening to are proud members of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Find out more and check out all of the other great shows and content at selfdefenseradio.net.
Welcome to Unload and Show Clear, the podcast about all things IDPA. And now, here's your host, living proof that without practice, there's no limit to how little you can accomplish, Lloyd Bailey.
Welcome to another episode of Unload and Show Clear. All too often, gun owners and gun culture are portrayed in the worst possible ways in the media. This podcast aims to counter that narrative by shining a light on the members of gun culture who are involved in IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association. Now, while IDPA members make up just a tiny fraction of the overall gun-owning public, I think they're a representative cross-section of that demographic, from all walks of life, rich, poor, and in between, young and old, men and women, patriotic, caring, friendly, and outgoing. And this podcast is about them. Today you're going to meet one of these awesome people. But first, let me tell you about Shoot Steel. Founded in 2008 by an IDPA competitor, Shoot Steel is the industry leader in steel targets. Static targets, gongs, target stands, reactive targets. If you or your club need steel targets, go to unloadpodcast.com/steel and check them out today. And when you buy, we'll earn a small commission to help keep the lights on here at Unload and Show Clear. So go to unloadpodcast.com/steel and order today. All right, time to get on with the show. Here is today's special guest. Our guest for today's show is Jesse Walker from Galax, Virginia. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Lloyd. It's awesome. I consider it an honor.
Well, thank you for being here. Tell us a little about yourself, where you're from. You're originally from West Virginia, I understand. You're now in Galax, Virginia. What do you do in Galax?
I am a minister, and I run a taxidermy business here at my house.
All right. And in that part of the state, I'm sure you stay pretty busy.
Oh my goodness, yes. Sometimes hatedly so, but it's been pretty blessed. I do 100+ whitetails a year, plus I do about 3 to 5 African safaris a year. I do a lot of exotics out of this little shop here in Galax too. I've got stuff here from all over the world.
Wow. So obviously, that part of the country, hunting very big. You probably were introduced to guns at an early age?
I was rifles, yeah. My dad introduced me to rifles. He wasn't a big handgun guy, and I got into handguns. And I'm gonna say my early 20s was when I really had my first experience with handguns and loved them. Nothing to the level that I've been doing the last 4 or 5 years, but I'd always been around them and shot a lot of them.
What was the first handgun you went out and bought for yourself?
First handgun I ever bought for myself was a Glock 19 Gen 3. I am a Glock guy. I tell everybody I've shot them all and own other brands, and it's just I keep going back to that Glock. I just can't get away from it.
So how did you get the IDPA bug? Where did you find out about the sport, and how did you get involved originally?
I tell everybody by accident, to be honest with you. I was on YouTube one day looking up a podcast or a video for gun reviews. Mm-hmm. So I'm on there and I'm looking for gun reviews, and just on the right hand corner where that comes up with the suggested videos, it had a video that said Down Zero, and it was made by Panteo Productions. And I thought, well, I'm gonna click on that and see what it is. And I sat there, and it's like 59 minutes long. And I sat and I watched the whole video, and they're taking you through the 2011 Carolina Cup. And it's got Bob Vogel in it, Tom Yost, and all those guys. And you're going through there and looking at this, and I said, "Oh my God, where's this sport been my whole life?" I said, "This is awesome." And I sat and I watched it all, and I got so excited about it that when I found it, I actually joined IDPA that night and didn't shoot my first IDPA event till 4 months later. So it was was neat. I said, I don't care where I got to go to do this. I said, I'm going to do it. And then I got to looking, and I found, there's 3-4 clubs within a 2-hour ride of me, and the closest to me is Foothills, and it's 50 minutes, and then I'm an hour 50 from Boone, I'm an hour 50 from Mecklenburg, and I'm an hour 50 from Kettlefoot. So I just went head over heels in love with this sport and really enjoy it.
Very good. Do you remember that first club match? Where was it, and what do you remember?
The first club match was in Foothills, and I got tickled when we got there. I found them online, and according to their schedule, it was going to be an IDPA with a 3-gun side match. Well, I get down there, and they had it reversed. So it was supposed to be a 3-gun match, and they was going to do an IDPA side match. Well, they was like 65, 70 shooters there, and 3/4 of us was there to shoot pistol. So they incorporated us into the 3-gun match. And I remember the first stage when the buzzer went off. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize my heart and my body could get that jacked on adrenaline. I shot the whole match like 100 points down, do worth nothing, but I enjoyed every last moment of it.
Yep. That's Foothills Defensive Shooters in North Wilkesboro, right?
Yes, it sure is. Yep.
What was the first sanctioned match that you ever shot?
The 2014 Virginia State Championship. And it was really neat. And I hate it on IDPA.com. You can't find my record on there. For whatever reason, they didn't get my IDPA number put in down there at that time. So my first sanctioned match is not even in my shooting record on there. And that's kind of awful for me. I go through and look. It's like, oh, I wish they'd have had that on there right. But I was blessed. I went down there. I classified. First time I ever classified, I classified as a sharpshooter. And then I went down there and I finished 4th sharpshooter SSP that year, and man, I'm just hooked. It got me, as they say, hook, line, and sinker.
What do you remember? Was there anything in particular about that match that was, if you're shooting all of those different club matches, was there anything about at that level, stepping up to a sanctioned match that was sort of eye-opening?
The overall ability, when you go from a little club match to a big sanctioned match, you start getting into a large number of shooters, you realize how much difference there is in the level or the ability of certain shooters. And when I seen that, it's like, man, this sport offers you so much to work towards, and then the complexity of stages and different movers and swingers and setups, and how much mental game there is in it. That was amazing to me, coming from the little local level, because I've had some other guys that I've invited to come to sanction matches, and once they shoot the sanction master, they look at me. It's like, man, this is wild compared to some of your little local matches. I said, it is. I said, it's got now. I said, I've been shooting since 2014, and 5 years into it, I at times I schedule to go to more sanction matches than I try to shoot local matches sometimes, just simply because it's so much more fun, so more intense, so more complex, and you're shooting against better competition.
That's for sure. How often do you, now that you've gotten serious, how often do you practice? What is your practice routine like? Do you incorporate dry fire as well? And if you do, what's the balance between dry fire and live fire and matches?
Is if everything goes good here at the shop, say if home life, business, and everything goes well, I try to dry fire at least once, twice a week on minimum. And there's some weeks because of business and stuff I don't get to. And then if I can get to the range, I'm about 15 miles from a local range here. I try to go to the range at least and do some live fire once every other week, or once a week if I can work it into my schedule. And then match wise, I do always try to shoot Foothills the first Saturday of every month, and then I always try to make it to Mecklenburg, which is the 4th Saturday of every month, for my general shooting within a month, as long as the schedule gets me. And then I try to shoot anywhere from 5 to 7, 8 sanction matches a year.
Wow. So which sanction matches do you look forward to every year and you pencil in on the schedule?
Believe it or not, the Mountaineer Classic is number one. I really enjoy shooting with Boone. I met a lot of good people down there, and that's a really good match to go to. And the biggest thing for me, to believe it or not, is variety. So I've not really shot any particular sanction matches over and over and over again. I find a new one to go to about every year. So I just shot the Pennsylvania State Championship this past weekend, and in the next 2 weeks, I'm headed to Mississippi for the first time. And that was my first time at Pennsylvania, and it's really cool. I like to travel around and bounce. I've been to Alabama, and it's really neat going to those little state sanctioned matches.
Very good. Well, you'll enjoy Mississippi. The people who run the match are fantastic people.
Awesome.
Is there a particular kind of match that you really enjoy? Some people like really technical stages. Some people like matches where they just let you run and gun. Some people like, lots of close, tight targets. Some people like lots of movement and lots of movers. What do you like to shoot? What's your favorite kind of a match?
If I had to pick one, I really like a tight shot accuracy type of technical match. I don't mind the swingers and the movers. That stuff is fun. I've come to like a lot of indoor. I've done some matches where they've got a mix where you'll do 12 stages, 10 of it's outside, 2 indoor or complete indoor. I really like tight shots, accuracy, because the more you watch some people just to say flat out run and gun, the faster they're shooting. They just look, I don't know, just don't look settled to me as a shooter. I like to, and not too much say slow somebody down, but for them to really concentrate on accuracy, because when I concentrate on accuracy, it seems like that's when I do my best at my matches, and that's really important to me. But yeah, man, if you could take say 12 stages and have 4 technical stages, 4 just flat moving stages, and then 4 stages where everything's just moving and you really got to think on some stuff, that would be a really, really awesome match.
What's of all the matches that you have shot, is there one that stands out that you say, wow, that was so much fun, or was just, blew your mind in terms of, stage design or the level of competition? Is there one that stands out through the years?
Yeah, the one that stands out to me is the 2016 Masters in Birmingham, Alabama. When I got down there to that match, it was the first time I traveled that far south for a match, and I got down there and just their poppers, the difference in the way the stages were laid out, their idea and how they wanted you to work the stages with runners and swingers and drop turners, and it was really well thought out from stage 1 all the way to the last stage, and it's by far my favorite match that I have shot since I've been shooting IDPA.
And you like accuracy. The new I'm guessing that you approve of the 1 second per point rule now, and I'm sure that as somebody who values accuracy, that rule probably enhanced your game. Or is there anything what kind of drills do you run when you get the chance to practice that help you kind of hone in that accuracy to prepare yourself for those matches?
To be honest with you, I took a class with a distinguished master shooter, and he said in that class one of the most important things was to really concentrate on a slow down accuracy type of drill before and after any training session. It don't matter if you just go out and you do weak hand, strong hand, or you're going to go and set up a stage, or maybe you're just going to run a build drill, or maybe you're going to do the El Presidente drill. The most important thing was to start slow and finish slow, so that when you walked away from the range, that you knew that you and your gun could hit what you were aiming at. So like when I go to the range and practice, I usually do 30 shots of just standing and trying to hit all 30 shots in a dot at 7 yards. And that's exactly how I finish. When I do my training session, I'll finish. And I do something different every time I go train. But I always come back to being able to make sure that I'm seeing front sight. I'm holding everything like it needs to be, and my stance is right. So when then I squeeze that trigger, press that trigger, it comes off to my brain knows that I am able to do that each and every time. Then you let the speed and the I guess to say thinking, speed, and then working in the footwork and all that stuff around being accurate.
Very cool. You've got 3 boys, did you say?
Yes, I got 3 boys: a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 9-year-old.
And are they interested in shooting as well, or is Dad not cool anymore now that they're teenagers?
No, none of them tell me that Dad's not cool. My youngest, when I do get tickled at him, he tells me, he'll say, "Dad, I don't like you." He says, "But I love you awful lot." And he's my buddy. We like to pick back and forth a whole lot. But no, they're interested in shooting. The oldest one, He's actually my stepson, and when I got him, he was 3 years old when he came into my life, and he's had a really hard time finding anything athletic to do, and
Mm-hmm.
he's really interested in getting into IDPA. But when I take him to the range, even at the age he is, he's not there where he needs to be yet from a safety standpoint. My middle one, at 13 years old, that boy I think is going to have an opportunity to be really good when he gets older, as long as he can keep his head on straight.
So, what I forgot to ask you, what division that you compete in, and you mentioned Glock, so I'm going to assume that the gun of choice is a Glock. So, tell us about that.
Yes, I predominantly shoot a Glock 17 Gen 4. I have shot a 34, and I have found that it's just too long for me. I'm less accurate, and I'm slower with that 34 than I am the 17. And I also shoot a 19 Gen 5. I like it for CCP. I just started shooting it this year. But most time when I go to a match, I shoot a lot of SSP Master, and I shoot that Glock 17. I really like it. But this year I broke into 2 matches. I think it was a Tennessee State match and the Mountaineer Classic this year. I shot CCP, and I'll be shooting ESP Expert at Mississippi, but it's the exact same gun. I changed nothing, so I take my SSP gun, change nothing on it, and compete against guys in ESP2. I like the challenge.
Very cool. All right. So, is there anything unusual, anything aside from all the usual stuff that people pack in their range bag, take with them to the range to a match? Is there anything in particular, anything odd or unusual that you always make sure that you take with you to the match, that you always double check and you make sure that you've got it with you when you go to a match?
Yeah, for me, it maybe sounds silly, but Q-tips. I always make sure that I have Q-tips. About 3 years ago, I got a set of those fancy pre-fitted earplugs for your ears, and never had any of them before. And man, they make my ears sweat just awful. So I'm constantly, I get them Q-tips out and I clean my ear, make sure it's all good, and put my earplug back in. I've even had people say, "Man, I've never thought about taking them with me anywhere." I said, "Yeah, I've got them in my range bag all the time."
So what is it for you that makes IDPA fun? What is it that you're passionate about? What keeps you going back? What is it you love about IDPA that would make you go all the way to Mississippi for a match and keep on shooting and practicing and trying to get better?
Yeah, because Mississippi is like a 10.5-hour ride for me. That's a long way. Yeah, traveling around, it took me like 7 hours to get to Pennsylvania this past weekend, and just one way. And when I get there, the biggest thing for me is being able to compete against myself, compete against the stages. I love looking at a stage and being able to break it down mentally, how that I can do it the best, to being able to run it as fast as I can, but also as accurate as you can, to see how you stack up with other shooters, and just the overall breaking them stages down, having fun shooting that stage, and then just being in like another world. I don't know what it is. When I walk up to that line or wherever you start at before that buzzer goes off, and I shut myself down other than just what I'm going to do on that stage, it's like, it's such a stress reliever for me. It's like I go into another world, and I just absolutely love that part of it. I also love the camaraderie. I've met a lot of great people in IDPA, and it's really a neat sport with a lot of good people, and I will do it until I can't do it no more. It's going to be I wish I'd have found it a little sooner in life, so that way I'd have had a lot longer to shoot it, because it is so fun. But man, it's just, I don't know, every stage is just intense to me, even if it's me. I'm one of them crazy people. I love a standard stage, and most people just absolutely hate standards.
Oh, you're one of those people.
Yes, I love a standard stage. It's just like everybody's like, "Oh God, no standard," and I'm like, "Oh no, this is where you can set yourself apart." I mean, I love a standard stage. It's just I love the competition, I just do. I love every last bit of it, all of it that's in it in IDPA. I don't mind the rules. I know a lot of people that I shoot with and stuff, they have a hard time with certain rules and that kind of stuff. And when you really get into shooting a sport, I tell everybody, I said, I've learned there's only about three to four rules that you've really truly got to learn about if you've got everything right, or you've got to worry about if you've got everything else right. It's just have fun and shoot and be safe above all things. Always watch where that muzzle at, and everything's going to be fun.
Absolutely right. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I look forward to the opportunity. I wish I was going to Mississippi, but I look forward to hopefully catching you at a match in the future.
Yeah, no problem, man. Again, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think this is a cool thing you're doing, and I was like, of all the people in the world to be asked, I mean, I thought it was a pretty neat deal to be asked to be able to do this, so I greatly appreciate it, Lloyd.
Thank you. All right, that's all we've got for you today. Thank you so much to our special guest for coming on the show. If you know somebody in the IDPA community who deserves some recognition, I'd love to talk to them. Send me an email at Lloyd, LLOYD, at unloadpodcast.com. Check out the show notes for today's episode and listen to past episodes at unloadpodcast.com. And if you like what you hear on the show and you'd like to support us, help keep the lights on, pay the bills, we would love your support. Visit patreon.com/unload and make a small monthly contribution to help continue what we're doing here. Tune in again next week for another edition of Unload and Show Clear.